this class, we will cover the checklist we have as a tester and what we need to keep in mind. The checklist, the first one comes is the plan. In test plan, the things we need to consider is define the scope of testing, understand business objectives, what the business is expecting, define success criteria. What are the success criteria you have for the test plan or the product? Assess resource requirements and agree time scales, how much time you have. After the plan, you need to prepare for the input. What are the data you are going to use? Input data. Processes. What are the processes you are going to test? And the software covers. Expectations. What is your expectation or what are your expectations of the product? You need to define them. How you can define as a part of that environment. What environment you are going to use? Test environment, pre-production environment, production environment, and how it is going to perform. Test data. You need to prepare the test data for your test cases so you can verify your expected result. Applications. Perform test cases. Perform tests. What are the testing activities or what type of testing you are going to perform on the product? For example, unit testing, QA quality assurance testing, load testing, user acceptance testing, regression testing. Based on the types of testing you select, you have different expectations and your objectives are different. Check, verify result. How you are going to check or verify the results? Are you going to verify your result in a database, or you have a visual layer, or are you going to have the reports and analyze the reports and the performance? How you are going to perform with the performance testing? Revise and improve. How you can revise and improve your processes, build knowledge. So based on the reports, based on the matrix, you build your knowledge. What processes you are going to have you carry on testing. Increase coverage. How you coverage your testing. What are the areas you are covering? Feedback to developers. How you are passing the feedback to the developers. Reports. What are the reports? What types of reports you are going to do? And what are the information the reports cover? Error diagnostics. Management and auditing. Matrix and compliance. And in the end, store for reuse and audit. You need to store the product. You need to store whatever documents you have designed during a testing activity so you can reuse them. And you also need to store them for the audit purposes. For if it is legally binding, then you can use for the legal purposes. Next, we will discuss test data. Data drives testing. You have the test cases. You have everything. But what if you don't have correct test data? Can you carry on testing? No. As for example, you want to test a login screen for a particular product. But what if you do not have data for the valid login credentials and invalid login credentials? Are you able to test? No. So, data drives testing. Data is the most important part of testing. Think about the following when defining data needs and your approach. Poor data will result in poor testing, wasted time and lower quality. What are your data needs you need to keep in mind? Scenarios. common grounds. What are the scenarios you are covering for your testing? Based on that, you need to have specific type of data. Data sources, from where you are going to collect the data, from where you are going to build this data or prepare the data. Existing production data, are you going to get from the existing production data? Conversion from prior system, you are obtaining the data from old system, but you are converting from one type to another type to use in your current project. Extraction of subset from production, are you going to extract the data from the production? Generation, enter from scratch, or you are going to generate the data yourself from scratch. Pairwise all pairs testing combination, how you are going to test as well? Are you going to pair testing, or just one person will be provided the data and one person will be doing execution? When you have the test data, you need to analyze the test data as well. Analyze current data, what is in use now. When you have the test data, you don't just start using the data straight away. You need to analyze them. Are they the correct data? Is it of use? Is it of any use for you at present? No. The old data, if you derive from the old system, the processes are different, the scenarios are different, then you might not be able to use them. Coverage, getting a good mix. How much requirements coverage you are going to cover, how much statement coverage, these all things you need to keep in mind and prepare the test data. Common scenarios and rare values, what are the scenarios you are going to cover and what are the values you are going to use. Based on that, test data you need to use. Consistency, especially in subset, must be intact. Your test data should be consistent and intact. They should not get corrupt. When you want to use data in future, they should be reusable as well based on the scenarios. They should be consistent. When you carry on negative testing and positive testing, the data should be different as well. The values should be different as well. So separate good and invalid cases. You have to have the separate test cases for negative testing and positive testing. In the same manner, you have the separate test data for positive testing and for negative testing. Interface simulation, especially inbound interfaces. When you are integrating the system with another systems, how you are going to perform these activities, what are the data you are going to use, this should be prepared as well. Data confidentiality and sensitivity, obscure or scramble. Are the data you are going to perform, are they sensitive and you need to follow the data confidentiality? You should not disclose certain data to third party. You need to keep in mind. So these data should be kept confidential based on the product you are testing. Customer, if you are testing a product which is going to deal so many customers outside people, then if you are dealing with the date of birth, personal address, personal details, then this data should be kept confidential. That's sensitive data. Sensitive X live data, sensitive X live data. So you are having the live data, in this is the sensitive information, then you should not disclose with the third party. Hence, when you prepare the test data, data is an asset. Where possible, develop an approach for data protection that enables data to be kept and reused. Matching background and input data with scenario results. This will save considerable time and effort. Watch out for legislative factors, confidentiality, security. Improve from use. So you prepare the data in a way that you can reuse them in future, and you need to keep the data confidential as well if you are dealing with customers' personal details.